The Obsidian Lamina is a great DLC weapon and my new favorite Reaper in the game. By focusing on the bleed buildup and using the graceful Ash of War, we can make a build very fitting for the weapon of the fan favorite DLC character. I have bad news for anyone that does not have this weapon yet. This weapon requires beating the entire DLC while completing Sir Ansbach's questline to obtain it. Make sure you exhaust all his dialogue before getting inside Shadow Keep, and give him the Sacred Right scroll before defeating Mesmer. Then, just very simply beat the hardest boss in the series. The Obsidian Lamina will be on Ansbach's body in the arena after you're done. Luckily, you won't have to go too far out of your way to complete the quest line, and it's easy enough that many people will be able to complete it on a first playthrough even without a guide. The Reaper moveset on the Obsidian Lamina is a series of long-reaching swipes that deal slash damage. We can get an acceptable amount of range with this weapon. The heavy attacks are a double slash when fully charged, dealing most of the damage on the second swipe. So far, this behaves like most other Reapers do. So let's focus on that unique move the Ash of War grants us. Dynastic Sickle play is an evolution of the Bloody Helis' Ash of War. The move starts with a twirl that has your character spin away from the enemy. The coolest part is that the spin grants you iframes. For the follow-up attack, you can press the heavy attack button for a diagonal uppercut on your foe. The attack did more damage on my build than the heavy attack even without the Shard of Alexander, so it may be best to use this move as much as possible. There is also a second heavy follow-up to the Ash of War that includes an attack chain of 3 more swipes. Thing is, the attack chain takes a bit of time to complete. I didn't find too much use for it outside of a finishing move. It should also be noted that Ansbach's armor does give a boost to all dynastic Ashes of War, this one included. I highly suggest you use this armor in your run for said boost. There are 3 spells that I used throughout the run. Golden Vow for more attack damage and damage negation. Ansbach's armor looks great and gives us that Ash of War boost, but it doesn't grant the protection of heavier armors you can medium roll with. So that damage negation is very important. Flame Grant Me Strength saw some use to boost my fire and physical damage for 30 seconds. Finally, I used the new incantation, the Furious Blade of Ansbach. I was under the impression that this would be a good damaging move, but I was incorrect. The main point of this spell is to inflict a lot of blood loss buildup as fast as you can. This incantation with the bleed buildup already on the weapon leads us to the main play style of the build. Our goal with this setup is simple: cause blood loss quickly and as frequently as possible. The buildup on the weapon and our main incantation do this plenty. The fact our Ash of War has iframes means we can sneak in a hit or two where we otherwise could not have. Or we can just do it to look cool, which is the most important part in my book. Quick addendum to the build. After recording and nearly finishing the video, patch 1.14 dropped. Firstly, the boss you need to beat to get this weapon was nerfed. That cross-slash move should be much easier to deal with now. The Ash of War on the weapon received an all-around buff, including less stamina cost and more poise damage. Finally, Furious Blade of Ansbach also received a buff. You can now roll out of the attack faster and do more poise damage. All the clips in this video are Max New Game Plus on patch 1.13, so your gameplay experience with this weapon will be better than what's shown. Before we get into stats and talismans, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the build videos. The Lord of Blood's exaltation is key here. Blood loss is essential to our build, and getting a 20% damage boost every time we proc it is great. Millicent's prosthesis increases our dexterity and grants us a boost in successive attack power. The Two-Headed Turtle talisman increases our stamina regen. With Dynastic Sickle play consuming so much stamina, this is a great choice for a talisman slot. Finally, the Dragon Crest Great Shield gives us a very needed boost to our physical defense. I changed up the tier setup a lot throughout the playthrough. The 2 that I liked the best were the Opaline Hard tier, giving us 15% damage negation for 3 minutes, and the Thorny Cracked tier, for more successive attack power on top of Millie's prosthesis. For our stats, we had 60 Vigor, 20 Mind to use our Ash of War, 30 Endurance, 64 Dexterity, as this is what our weapon scales off of primarily, 25 Faith, and 27 Arcane, since we get weapon scaling and blood loss scaling off of this stat. The best features of the Obsidian Lamina are the iframe Ash of War and the great NPC it's tied to. While its base damage might not be too crazy, this weapon is more than powerful enough if you keep inflicting that blood loss. If you want to record a few stylish moves in Elden Ring, this Reaper will be perfect for you.